Hi guys, we're going to look at some of the solutions to the practice problems for our Comparing Quantities unit test. So we're going to go over the models for systems of equations review. It says a school district uses vans and buses to take students on a field trip. A chart is used to determine the number of vehicles needed for the trip based on the number of students who will ride. So we can see on the combination chart that we are combining buses and vans. And it asks us some questions underneath about the combination chart. The first question says, another way to summarize information about the combination is to write an equation. 3v plus 2b equals 156. What does this equation mean? Well, it means that 3 vans and 3 buses holds 156 students. The next question tells us to write the information from the equation above in the combination chart. So I want to add this information up here in my chart. So I'm going to choose 3 vans, which is right here, and 3 buses, and write 156 as my answer. The next question, let's scooch it up here, sorry. So we've done part B. Write equations for the 2 situations already known in the chart. The 2 situations already known in the chart are here and here. So I'm going to use B to represent buses and V to represent vans. So this is going to be hard to see all in one screen, but my first one is 2b plus 2v, 2 buses plus 2 vans equals 104. My second combination is the 220, which is 4 buses and 5 vans. So 4 buses and 5 vans holds 220 students. And the final question asks to find the number of students who can ride on a bus. So using my combination chart, I'm going to look for the pattern. I notice that there is a pattern going diagonally here. I can tell that the difference between 104 and 156 goes by 52. So the difference in this jump to this jump is 152 students. So, or I'm sorry, is 52 students, not 152. So I know that 1 van and 1 bus is going to hold 52 students, 0 vans and 0 buses holds 0 students. So I can tell that my diagonal pattern is going by 52. If I add 52 to find this box, I know my diagonal pattern is going by 52. If I go 52 more to get this box, I'll be taking 156 and adding 52. That's going to give me 208. And that 208 is going to help me see my vertical pattern. The difference between 208 and 220 is going to be my up pattern. My up pattern goes by, it looks like the difference is 12. So I know that as I move up my chart, I'm going to be adding 12. So I know that 1 van holds 12, obviously 2 vans hold 24, 3 vans hold 36, and on and on. But we're looking for the number of students that can ride a bus, which is this number right here. Because we're working in a combination chart, I know that these 2 numbers have to add up to 52. And I know that 40 and 12 add up to 52. So I know that 1 bus holds 40 students. So that's going to be my answer. to this last question down here. One bus holds 40 students. Question 2. The chart below shows the total cost of different combinations of melons and apples at the fruit market. Write an equation for the value shown in the chart. Alright, so I know that 2 melons and 2 apples cost $18 because there's my 2 apples, there's my 2 melons, there's my 18 combination. 3 melons cost a total of $18. What is the price of 1 bag of apples? So I'm going to look up here, 3 melons. 3 melons cost 18. So I know that 18 divided by 3, I know that 1 melon costs 6. So my up pattern is 6, 12, 18. I know that my pattern going down is also minus 6, because if I'm going up, when I add 6, I'm subtracting 6 as I move down. So I'm starting here, and I'm going to work my way down and figure out what 2 bags of apples cost by subtracting 6. 18 take away 6 is going to leave me with 12. And 12 take away 6 is going to leave me with 6. I know that 2 bags of apples cost $6, so I know that 1 bag of apples costs $3. 6 plus 3 is 9. 0, 9, 18 fits in the pattern, so I know I'm correct. So I know that 1A equals 3. Part C says complete the chart above to show the prices when different combinations of apples and melons are purchased. So I would go ahead and continue following my pattern of adding 6 as I move up, or I could follow my pattern of adding 3 as I move across. Either way would fill my entire chart. So I'm just going to fill in a couple of numbers, not the whole thing. So that would go 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. And as I move across, I would continue with my adding 3 pattern, starting with 6, 9, 12. This would be 15. This would be 18. Continuing across, 12 plus 3 would be 15, 12, 15, 18. And continuing following the plus 3 and plus 6 pattern, we could fill in the entire chart. I'm going to answer the last question. Cassie bought 5 melons and 3 bags of apples. How much did that cost? So we want to know the cost for 5 melons and 3 bags of apples. That's this box right here. So the way I'm going to get to that box is I'm going to go up by 6 and then over by 3. So if I continue to go up by 6, 18 plus 6 is 24. 24 plus 6 is 30. As I follow the cross 3 pattern, 30 plus 3 is 33, 36, 39. So for 3 bags of apples and 5 melons, it's going to cost $39. The next solution we're going to look at is notebook notation, everybody's favorite, I know. But the goal of the notebook notation is to isolate one of the items by itself, by making new combinations. Your new combinations should be helpful to you to help you isolate your items. And then as you find the price of each one, you can kind of fit the puzzle pieces together and solve for the amount of each item in your list. Okay, I am going to start by looking at this 111 row. This 111 row has kind of proved to be helpful to me in the past, so I'm going to keep that there. And I notice that there are pencils missing in this row. But knowing 2 notebooks and 2 erasers isn't really helpful to me. What would be helpful is 0 pencils, 1 notebook, and 1 eraser, because I could then compare those two elements. So by taking this order and cutting it in half, I can make a new combination. So half of $1.40 is 70 cents. And I can now use these two rows to cancel and find the price of 1 pencil. So this row and this row are going to be important. So if I have 1 pencil and I take away no pencils, that's going to leave me with 1 pencil. A notebook, take away a notebook, leaves me with 0 notebooks. An eraser, take away an eraser, leaves me with 0 erasers. When I compare the prices of those two, $1.10, take away 70 cents, leaves me with 40 cents. So I know that 1 pencil is going to cost 40 cents. Now that I know that information, I can now substitute it back into one of the equations that I already know. If I know that 2 pencils and 1 notebook cost $1.30, I can know that my 2 pencils are going to cost 80 cents because 1 pencil costs 40 cents. So up here, I know that 80 cents plus 1 notebook equals $1.30. So 80 plus what gives me $1.30? 80 plus, I think, 50 cents gives me $1.30. So I know that 1 notebook costs 50 cents. The last piece of information I need to figure is the eraser. Down here looks like a pretty easy combination to use to help me figure out my eraser. I have a combination of 1 notebook and 1 eraser. I know my notebook costs 50 cents. So I know my notebook is 50 cents. 50 cents plus something gives me 70 cents. I know 50 plus 20 makes 70, so 1 eraser should cost 20 cents. If I wanted to double check myself, I could use this row again. I figured that a pencil cost 40 cents. A notebook costs 50 cents. And an eraser costs 20 cents. And that total should give me $1.10. 50 plus 40 is 90. 90 plus 20 is $1.10. So all my prices work out. Hopefully this is helpful in using notebook notation. This should be a study guide for your test. Good luck.